Hi, I'm Pam and I'm here to talk about retro video games. I hope you like pinball because today I'm talking about Pinball Quest. Pinball Quest was developed by TOS and released for the NES in North America in 1990. It bills itself as the world's first pinball fantasy and offers 3 different pinball tables to play on, alone or with up to 3 other players, as well as an RPG mode that has a story, set levels, boss fights, and even some upgrades to buy. The controls are quite simple and the physics of the ball are somewhat questionable. Hitting left on the D-pad controls your left flipper while A moves the right. You can also tilt or shake the table with B to try to get the ball to change its course. One thing that makes this game a little more interesting is that you also need to manually move your flippers between available spots with up and down on the D-pad. The first pinball table you can choose is Pop Pop. This is sports themed and has bowling pins for you to knock down and a pool table the ball can enter for extra points. This is a pretty fun table to play with lots of things going on. Next is Viva Golf, which is my least favorite of the 3. The bumpers are set up in an odd way and there's a very annoying water trap. The last table is Circus. This has a slot machine for extra points as well as to give access to a special minigame. In the minigame, you need to hit the lions that are chasing a woman around with a ball, but don't hit her or she'll get mad. But it's the RPG mode that really makes this game interesting. It's cool to have a pinball game that has an end state, a purpose other than a high score. You play the little silver pinball itself and are told by a ghost in the game's starting graveyard level that the princess has been captured and you need to save her. The 6 pinball tables you'll travel to are all quite different, and besides the usual pinball mechanics, also have monsters to defeat and objectives to complete to open up the way to the next level. You damage monsters by hitting them, and your attack power, indicated in the bottom left of the screen, increases as you defeat them. Taking out the skeletons in this level spawns the boss, which is the key to making it to the next table. In between levels, there's a shop where you can buy various upgrades that can make playing a bit easier. There are 4 different stoppers which can be placed to the left, right, or center, and can last from a single hit to the whole level. The 2 different flippers, Strong and Devil, increase your damage done, but the Devil flippers can also just stop working sometimes. If you don't have enough gold, you can try to steal. This might end up in your favor, filling your 4 inventory slots with random upgrades, or it could end in you getting beat up and having half your money taken. You need to manually use your upgrades, which is something I didn't realize until a ways in, making everything much harder for myself. When you get to the level you want to use them, pressing select will open your inventory and you can select and place the things you want to use. Instead of points, you gain gold for defeating enemies and hitting bumpers. For some reason, you can only see how much gold you have while you have your inventory open or are in the shop. I'm not sure why they wouldn't have just put this on the default UI so you could see it at all times. Once you've finished with the shop, you move on to level 2. Here you need to take out some demon bumpers that block your way through the middle of a table and defeat a witch with her demon dogs. I was a little disappointed to find out from the manual that this was a witch, and not, as I assumed, the pinball wizard. Also, why does the witch have dogs instead of cats? This table is decent, not overly challenging, and once you're done, you get another chance at upgrades in the store. The 3rd table is pretty cute. There are 2 little goblins wandering around in the bottom of the screen, and hitting the ball to one of them will have them walk over and deposit it in a cart, which takes it to the top of the table. Though sometimes being hit by the ball makes them mad, and they'll just chuck it back at you. Now you'll have to take out 9 stationary goblin guards before you can fight the Goblin King. No, not that one, sadly. The 4th table has turtles and knights, a winning combination. This one is really amusing while playing through your first ball, but extremely tedious on subsequent plays. You need to get up a ramp which then launches your ball into the Wheel of Luck. Sometimes it will get blocked by a turtle, sometimes it will shoot you back to the start, but what you want is for it to take you to the next section. Here, there are 6 knights which activate one by one, and you need to defeat them all to open up the level exit. If your ball falls through at any point, it will go to a river and be picked up by a passing boat and returned to you. This sequence takes a very long time, and I found myself frustratedly exclaiming, "Oh my god, get on with it!" at my television screen a lot. Table 5 is a nice reprieve. It's split into 3 horizontal sections, and your goal is to get over to the top left, where you can see the princess and fight the guards who are surrounding her. There are 3 different places to place your flippers here, so there's a bit of strategy in completing this fight. Finally, you face Beelzebub, Dark Lord of the Machine, who guards the actual princess and throws skulls at you. Getting hit by these can damage your flippers and reduce your attack power. This is a difficult table because of how much space there is between your flippers. Though the candles in the middle of the table can save you a few times, it's very easy to lose a ball here. In the end, you do save the princess before getting sucked into a hole by a giant magnet. I'm honestly not sure what to make of this ending. Pinball Quest's RPG mode is a really cool idea. Now, there are a number of games that combine pinball mechanics with other genres. Games like Creature in the Well, Yoku's Island Express, or Rollers of the Realm. But in 1990, this was a very novel idea. However, the game is not without its faults. It's quite difficult to really lose the game. While I usually would like this, how the player is punished for losing a ball ends up being quite frustrating. If your ball goes down the drain, you end up going back a level and losing half of your attack power. It's demoralizing to watch your ball fall down the previous table, unable to even hit it with your flippers until it reaches the very bottom. There were a few times where some unlucky rolls put me almost all the way back to the beginning of the adventure. And it's not that fun to replay the tables you've already beaten. I do like that the levels have a lot of moving parts and are all quite distinct, but they miss out on a big part of what makes pinball fun: the flashing lights and cool sound effects.
Mamma mia!
Visually, there's very little pizzazz, and the sound effects aren't all that satisfying. The soundtrack is passable, but each table's theme does get quite repetitive. One visual element I did really like was the smooth scrolling. Before playing this, if you were to ask me to name an early console pinball game, I would have said Compile's Alien Crush on the TurboGrafx-16. While that game looks, sounds, and plays better, it does a disorienting hard cut between the top and bottom of the table. Other similar NES games like High Speed and Pinbot cut the screen so your bottom bumpers are always visible, which I don't really care for either. And then there's Nintendo's own Black Box Pinball, which just fits the entire table on one stationary screen. Of all of these, I prefer Pinball Quest's method of smoothly following the ball. I also liked what they tried to do with the combat. Having the ability to move your flippers up and down the board meant there was a bit of a strategic component to fighting enemies. You could move your flippers to avoid them getting hit and having them damaged or stunned. Pinball Quest is a unique game, and if you like the mechanics of pinball but are looking for something a little more, I recommend checking it out. With 3 regular tables and an RPG mode with 6 more tables, it offers a lot of variety, and though it can be frustrating, it can also be a lot of fun. If you want to see more oddball NES games, check out my review of City Connection, or another of my videos. I have a Patreon if you want to support my channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.